Today we are going to take our notes on inverse trig functions. So if you're given two sides of a right triangle and you try to find the missing angle, you need to use inverse trig functions. Okay, so what that means is so inverse functions are like adding and subtracting, right? They do the opposite thing. They negate each other, multiplying and dividing, squaring and taking the square root. So the inverse of sine is sine to the -1. So the inverse sine of sine means that these are going to cancel and you're just given theta. But what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So I take the sine inverse of this side. So what we're going to do, you're going to type this into your calculator, and you're going to end up with 26. Okay. And so the next one, right, we're going to do cosine. So you're going to do the cosine inverse. So what I'm doing, I'm taking the inverse of both sides so that the cosines cancel out and you get theta on the left. And then I have to take the cosine inverse. I have to type this into my calculator. So now I'm going to switch screens and I am going to show you how to do that on Desmos. Okay, so here we have our Desmos calculator. So you should make sure you are at Desmos Scientific. You are in degree mode. Okay. And the default is to go to the main screen. But right now we want to go to the function. So I'm going to click that function button, and here you see sine inverse. So we are going to type in, so you press sine inverse, and now you're going to type in 0.4384. So we'll go back to that screen. So, and you can put the 0 or not, 0.4384, enter, and here on the right side is your answer. And you'll notice this is always going to ask you to round to the nearest degree. So here our answers are going to be whole numbers. Okay, so for the next one, you are going to do the cosine inverse, right? So there's cosine inverse or tangent inverse. You'll click on this one. So you need to make sure when you go to Desmos.scientific that you are in this function mode. That's where you find the inverses. Sine to the -1 is sine inverse. Cosine to the -1 is cosine inverse. Tangent inverse. If you are using a calculator, you will press the second button and then you will press sine. Or if you have a Casio, it's the shift button to do those extra functions. Okay, so let's go back to our slideshow. Okay, so you should type in cosine inverse of 0.5592, round, usually at 56. Tangent inverse of 9/12, you should get 37. So if I were you, I'd pause here, work on Desmos, and try to get those answers. Okay, so here, same thing, round your answer to the nearest degree. I would pause your video here, see what you can do. And these are your answers. Okay, so remember, when we are rounding, right, tangent of 3/4. Okay, I'm going to look at this problem right here. Okay. Tangent of 3/4, you type it in, you get 36.8. So this 0.8 is greater than 4, right? It's in the numbers 5 through 9 tells us to round up. So 36 rounds up to 37. Here, cosine inverse, this one would give you 71.33. So I look at this number here, it tells me to stay. Do not round, right? If it's 0 through 4, you stay. If it's 5 through 9, you round up. So now we're going to take it to the next step, and we're going to apply it to a triangle. Right, so now you have to make the ratios. So this is review of what we did before, right? I circle my angle. I'm looking at this theta. So I say, okay, what sides are marked? I know my hypotenuse, right? It's across from 90. And I know my opposite. 46 is across from the theta, across from the missing angle. So what function uses opposite and hypotenuse? Sine. So sine of theta equals 46 over 53. Now we take the inverse of both sides and you type into your calculator sine inverse of 46 over 53. You round and you get 60. Okay, so number 2. Again, circle your angle. Mark what you know in relationship to your angle. 43 is your hypotenuse. It is across from the 90. And then here, my other side, my neighbor, the short leg, is my adjacent. So which one's using adjacent, right? Cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So 15 over 43. Then what do we do? To get theta by itself, got to take the inverse. And you should get 70 degrees. Then the last one, circle my angle. I have opposite and adjacent. That would be tangent. All right, so tangent of theta is 5 over 12. Type in your calculator, tangent inverse of 5 over 12 equals 23. Now, if you are using your cell phone and you are not getting, you're typing in the right thing, but you're not getting the right answers, that means you are in radian mode and you have to figure out how to change your phone to degree mode. And to do that, I would just Google it. Whatever phone you have, how to put an iPhone calculator in degree mode, how to put a Samsung calculator in degree mode, etc. All right, so go ahead and finish the page. I again recommend pausing here, doing it all by yourself, and then here are my answers.